My name is DeKarrin Iverness Vindregon. I am, or at least once was, half human, half elf. My father is Alaric Vindregon, an elven noble and part of the High Council. My mother was one of his human servants. Though I am his oldest, I am not in line to be his heir, at least not anymore. I am his firstborn, and though I'm a bastard, he acknowledged me. I was to be his heir. My stepmother, his wife, hated it. And once she became with child, she did everything she could to make my existence, as well as that of my mother's, incredibly intolerable. Once my half brother was born, I was no longer heir to all of his estate. I was simply delegated to be his protector. For as long as I could remember, I was sent away to a monastery. I was to learn to fight, and that was it. I learned the ways of martial arts, how to master the elements, how to use my chi. It was there I also discovered a secret. Magic flows deeply within my family, wild magic in particular. I was also a sorcerer. Wild magic itself cannot be mastered, but magic can. It took many years, but I mastered both my ki and how to cast spells, becoming something of an eldritch knight. I returned home. I took my duties as my brother's protector, his guardian. That was all until a cult had begun to infest the city. My father was always one for actions rather than words, so he mustered up the men that he could, found out where the cult had their coven, and attacked. I was with his group. I would fight bravely by his side, but it did not last long. When we thought we had the element of surprise, it seemed that we were betrayed. They knew we were coming. Many of us died. Those that didn't were subjected to horrible experiments. I was subjected to horrible experiments. They cast some ritual over me. They did something. They put something in me, something unnatural, something unholy, dark, something I did not want. I was to be the first of their puppet soldiers to go back and weaken the city from the inside out. Luckily, due to my training at the monastery, I had the strength of will to keep my mind about me. I fought and I resisted. My father's sword, the Moonblade, I found it. It merged. It melded with me. It saw me as its wielder, as its new user and master. I fought and I escaped, but only just barely. I still had not become one. I had not made my peace with what I'd become. This day-walking vampiric thing. I knew the thirst for blood. I would not slake myself on the blood of my people, but those that had wronged them. When I returned to my home, I informed them of all that had happened. My younger half-brother yelled, he screamed. He demanded the Moonblade. He said that since he was his father's true heir, and not I, it was him that should be wielding it. I handed it over, but the Moonblade would not let it wield him. I was branded as a traitor. He said that I let father die in order to try and usurp everything from him. My stepmother agreed. I took the Moonblade and I ran. I ran and I took my cousin with me. Though he's my cousin, I think his lot in life was harder than mine. His mother is a direct blood relative to my father, but she was captured by orcs. She was taken by force and forced to give birth to a half-orc, half-elven child. Rather than end its life, she took it home when the rescue was made, and she raised it. She raised him. He was stronger than most, but he, just like I, were nothing more than rubbish to them. That bond, we called ourselves brothers. We were outcasts, and that forced us together. We ran from the city, and we adventured. I still bitter with hatred, as I had left someone back in the city. My heart still yearned for her, and now I feared I would never see her again. I began to become more comfortable with my dark powers. When it became time for me to sleep, I would have my shadow watch over me, and I would no longer sleep in my humanoid form. I would take the form of a blood wolf, so that my senses were more keen, that I could hear something or someone trying to sneak up on me. I could react faster. That was all until we took a mission for Iverness Castle. There I learned of a ghost of a little girl named Samantha Iverness, who was forced to be locked, to be trapped inside of her own castle. Not just inside of her own castle, in a single tower by cultists not unlike that had transformed me into the monster I felt I was. She shared all that she knew of the sacrifice her father had made, of the sacrifice that he had become for them. But they still caught her. They still ended her life. And with such sorrow in her heart, she was stuck. She was trapped in her castle. The tale of her plight filled me with rage. I would not let her know this. But those that had infiltrated her castle, that defiled it, they would know this. I would slake my thirst on their throats. I would tear them limb from limb. I would rejoice in the bloodbath. I lost myself to my anger, to my rage. But when the slaughter was done, I managed to reel myself back. I had purified her castle of those that had done dark deeds there. I and my brother decided to stay there, and what few cultists remain, they either saw me as their new messiah or something to be prayed to, and I felt something different. I learned that I could create warlocks. This thing they put inside of me, it stirred in the castle. There was a voice that spoke to me, and it grated upon me like nails upon stone. It whispered to me when it thought I was at my weakest, in my most tired of mental times. But it too would fall. We combated to see who would be in control of my body. Luckily, I was the victor, but only just. In coming out of that battle, I was granted new powers, darker powers. The powers to create warlocks. As I displayed my powers to those in the surrounding villages, telling them that I would protect them as much as I could from these cultists, they saw me as what I cannot say. But for whatever reason, they began to pray to me. I asked them, I pleaded with them not to. I was no savior. I was no messiah. I was no divine being to be prayed to. I was a monster. I was simply aiming my anger at those that would do harm to those that could not defend themselves. But still they prayed to me. And this time something different happened. Those that prayed to me, they received powers, spells, abilities. I could feel something stirring inside me from which I still cannot put into words. But I now had clerics, not just warlocks. This power that I was gaining, not just within myself, but the influence I had, it was spreading. I knew not what to do with it. And truth be told, it frightened me. I had attained new heights all too soon. I was not ready. I am not ready. But during this time, I had adopted not only Samantha and taken the name of her last name for myself. As I said, my name is DeKarrin Iverness Vindregon. But I had adopted two others, drow women, to be my daughters. And in this time of me being elevated to a demigod is when I felt my greatest pain. Those that had transformed me into this thing I learned later would be called Vreloka, this day-walking vampire. They had taken my brother. What foul and wretched acts they had enacted upon me, they took and they did to him. But his will was not as strong as mine. He had become the puppet to the thing inside of him. And we fought. I was left with no choice but to defend those that could not defend themselves. We battled and I won, but I could not strike the death blow. I stood, rage burning in my heart, but as I looked down at him, all I could think of was the boy, the man, the brother that he was to me. In that one simple moment of weakness, the thing inside of him acted, and he teleported away. I've begun to teach clerics, monks. I've created warlocks. I have paladins. What influence I have, I teach. You are to protect those that cannot protect themselves. You are to bring and to be the light in the darkness, to show others the way out, to show others they are protected, to show the things in the dark that there are worse things than them to deal with. I travel the plains now searching for my brother, and I extinguish any sight, any manner, any shred of that cult I can when I find it. Though I think this was their ploy all along. I feel a darkness beginning to grow surrounding my religion, something I never in my wildest dreams thought I would have. I pray to no God, though I know there are many. I do not feel a God of righteousness of I've never felt deserving of my prayer. Why would the gods let something like this happen to me? I try not to let what happened to me happen to others. To be a better God than what lot simply sit in their thrones, seek praise, gather it, and do nothing. Though I far from refrain myself as a God. The shadows creep every day further, and I am fearful that as I travel the plains looking for my brother, and I go extinguishing this cult, so too are they trying to extinguish those that I would ask to protect others, to weaken what influence and what good I actually have made upon the mortal planes. If you see a disciple of DeKarrin, aid him, for he will aid you. That is all I ask. That is all I hope. Light up the darkness. Be a shield in times of need, and a sword even more when needed. All right. I hope you guys didn't mind that little role play there going on. I saw something like that on, and now the channel All Things D&D. I saw something like that on All Things D&D. I actually wanted to try it out myself. Uh, I'm rather attached to my character DeKarrin, and I figured I'd give you guys his backstory. I did a thing asking for help with something about his demigod powers, and I figured I would just hit you guys with the backstory of what happened to him thus far. As I said in my other video, my son DMs and for that character, and he's actually planning on kidnapping my ghost daughter. So if you guys liked it, let me know. If you didn't like it, let me know. I won't do it again. If you did like it, let me know what you liked about it. Not just that, for those of you guys that actively play, let me know your characters' backstories. I would absolutely love to read them. I'm King Sway, and I will most definitely catch you guys in the next one.